Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
Yes, we are going live to the aforementioned front seat of the big red car, and welcome the man who became well known as the Yellow Wiggle, but these days is doing some very excellent work in the way of heart health. Greg Page, welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show.
Well, good morning, two blokes. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. You've got me near. You've got Rob over there on the other side of the desk, and you must be sick of hearing songs like that as an introduction to you, mustn't you?
No, I love it, actually. I think they're great songs. I never get tired of them, and it's a real legacy, I guess, that's been left by my contribution to the Wiggles. Of course, the Wiggles are still going today pretty strong after 30 years.
Yeah, I didn't recognise you the other day when you were on the TV. With that long red hair, you've just changed so much.
Yeah, I know. Look, the guys wanted me to wear the bow.
Greg, for the uninformed, let's all go all the way back, because when a group of adult males do what you did, that it had to start somewhere. Was it just 3 or 4 blokes sitting around having a beer thinking, shit, what can we do to make a quid?
No, absolutely not. No, we were at university studying to become teachers, so we were very passionate about early childhood education, and we were musicians also. And, Anthony and Jeff had a very strong background in successful pop music with the Cockroaches. And Anthony, Murray and I were at university studying, as I said, and we decided to combine our two passions, which were music and early childhood education, and came up with the Wiggles.
It was a very good idea, because it's been hugely successful, not only for you as individuals, but it is clear what you set out to achieve you have. And in the education space, there's a lot of discussion about the right and wrong way to do it. The simple fact there isn't a one tick fits all, but you do manage to cover off on getting into the minds and influencing so many. So congratulations on that, and yeah, you've turned it into a reasonable living, so congratulations on that as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, look, it was something that we never set out to do in that sense, in terms of it being a business or a commercial venture. We just wanted to do it because we loved it, and I think that's why it became successful, because our passion and our dedication to it was clearly obvious. I mean, you don't kind of go into that sort of thing half-hearted and think, we're just doing it for a bit of a laugh. We're doing it to just cash in on it. We were doing it because we wanted the right outcomes for kids, and we wanted to do something we were passionate about.
Because I think one of the things that, I don't think I've told you this in the few conversations you and I have had. When my daughter, who is now 30, was about 6 or 7, would that be about right, when you guys were starting out? Would that be about 23, 25 years? Yeah. She asked me if I could write to the Wiggles for her, and we wrote you a letter, and you personally sent back a handwritten letter on the sort of note paper that you would get from the local supermarket, that sort of stuff, and about the fact that you were thrilled that Lucy wanted to hear from the Wiggles and all that, hear about the Wiggles and so on. And you were just young fellas having a crack, and now the educational outcomes, the impact that it's had on people like Lucy. She's a primary school teacher. It's been not just a lot of fun, but there's been some educational aspects as well, I suspect.
Yeah, look, I think that's really powerful, and I'm impressed by that story you told. I mean, I think back in the early days, yes, Jeff and I used to take care of most of the business of the Wiggles, so we would personally respond to letters back in those days.
I wish I kept it.
Yeah, but as you allude to, the fact that the Wiggles were such a part of a child's psyche growing up, it's affected them in many positive ways, hopefully. I think that's still, there's a testament to that in the fact that the original Wiggles, are able to do over 18 shows and have kids that grew up with the Wiggles come along now as adults and want to relive that childhood and that connection to the Wiggles. And we've had many people with stories like Lucy's, and that is that the Wiggles has somehow propelled them on a career into early childhood entertainment, or to be a teacher, or to be a musician, whatever it might be. They have that connection to the Wiggles and what they're doing now, which is fantastic to see. And, we have not had too many negative or bad stories associated with what the Wiggles have done and achieved.
I'm going to say Post Office Box in Rozelle in Sydney. Would I be right?
Yeah, that'd be right, yeah.
Yeah, so that just proves that it's a real story.
Yep, well done. It is a real story.
And a really sad reflection on my life. I can remember a postal address from 23 years ago.
For that, yeah.
Greg, I imagine a classroom in Australia looks a hell of a lot different to what it did when the Wiggles started, and because of that diversity, the organisation has taken a recent decision which I'm sure by the comments you've made you're comfortable with. Did it disappoint you a little that it created a bit of media at some stage suggesting that you were going down a popular line for some other reason other than the obvious reason you'd do it?
Yeah, look, I mean, these days I'm not a part of the business and the organisation. I left in 2006, so I'm not really across all the discussions that were had. But what I can say is that, the Wiggles are always striving to do their best for the audience, and the audience now is an extremely diverse audience. And I think after 30 years of doing what the Wiggles have been doing, what began as you said earlier, it's kind of correct, 4 mates, not sitting around having a beer, but 4 mates, and that's all it was. And I think had we really sat down back then and tried to formulate something, it would have been a very different proposition. It would have been something more like, more like a high five or something like that. But the fact that we were 4 mates, the Wiggles began organically. So now with a more informed view of the world and education, I think what's happened is the guys, or particularly Anthony, saw an opportunity to expand the Wiggles by bringing some new Wiggles in and populating some additional coloured skivvies with people of diverse backgrounds to reflect that diverse audience that now watches the Wiggles. And it's very interesting. I was round at the office the other day seeing guys, and somebody was showing me the stats on these new videos that include these new Wiggles. The YouTube views are 6 times greater on these, Fruit Salad TV Wiggly episodes on YouTube than they are on their other content. So I think it just proves the fact that, number one, what the Wiggles do every day is working, but this introduction of these new Wiggles has also struck a chord with an audience, and it's really resonating, and it's being evidenced in massive view numbers for them.
Good on you.
I'd like to ask one last question before the Wiggles, because then we want to talk about the other reason we brought you on, and arguably a more important one for you now. And that is, because Rob said that, we always try to ask a question you've never been asked before, and you said good luck. I don't think I've ever heard the answer to this. You've probably been asked, but I've never heard the answer. When you chose the skivvy colours, why the 4 colours? Were they significant in any way, or did you just choose one yourself?
No, look, that is one I have been asked many times.
Boring.
Sorry, you struck out on that.
Not on this show, though, let's be honest.
True, not on the show. There's many questions being asked for the first time. But that one is a good question. So what happened was we had decided to change our look from the first CD to the second CD. So the second CD, we said we're going to go with black pants and bold colours on top. And we thought we might go with skivvies. Well, Jeff already had a purple or plum coloured skivvy. Murray already had a red skivvy. Anthony and I did not have any skivvies in our wardrobe at that point in time.
And that's a good statement of fashion, I would have thought.
Yes, that's what I thought too. But walking into Grace Brothers together, Anthony and I both spotted at the back wall of the menswear department a blue skivvy, and we both went for it. History tells us who was the faster runner on the day.
And so it's because there's obviously all sorts of interpretations as to what they could mean, but the truth of the matter is it doesn't mean anything.
Oh, no, look, and that's probably the truth of the matter with a lot of things with the Wiggles thing.
So the reason that I have reached out to you over the last month or so is all about heart health, and it's well documented that you have had a very nasty incident as it pertains to your heart health in recent times. And we wanted to talk about your organisation, the Heart, it's not the Heart, I always get the in the wrong place, Heart of the Nation. Talk us through what that's all about, because I think there's some people out there listening who would be really keen to hear about the program.
Yeah, so Heart of the Nation is a charitable initiative that was set up following my own cardiac arrest last year. And prior to my own event, I didn't know much about cardiac arrest at all. So I set up Heart of the Nation to really inform and educate the public about sudden cardiac arrest, and in particular, the chain of survival that's used by bystanders to save the life of somebody who's in cardiac arrest. And the chain of survival consists of 3 very simple steps: call, push, shock. So call 000 if somebody's not responding and not breathing normally or at all. Then push on their chest, start CPR. Push hard and fast in the middle of the chest, and then shock. Use a defibrillator or AED to shock the patient and see if that can resuscitate them, as it did for me. And we know from studies around the world that having that third and final link in the chain of survival when someone's in cardiac arrest can increase survival rates to around 60 to 75% if it's placed on the patient within 3 to 5 minutes of their cardiac arrest. So knowing where an AED is at all times is so important. So the Heart of the Nation initiative began as a way of identifying places in the community that have an AED inside the business. So you might walk around and see an AED inside sticker, Heart of the Nation sticker, on your local Coles store, because all Coles have an AED inside. So it's an initiative that's growing, and we've got some pretty exciting programs running at the moment. In fact, next Saturday there's a very exciting program on Channel 9 at 3 p.m, because next Saturday is Restart a Heart Day. So we're asking everybody to tune in to Channel 9 at 3 p.m. and be part of the world's largest CPR class.
And thankfully, and I know you did this deliberately by putting it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to allow people to listen to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show before having to switch off to go and watch that.
And we'll remind them, of course.
We will be reminding them. So, Greg, the stats for people who are not listening, and obviously you and I have chatted about this in other forums, but one Australian dies of heart disease every 12 minutes, and that's 60% more likely if you are living in regional Australia, which is obviously where we're broadcasting from. So this is something that will touch the hearts, no pun intended, of many, many, many people that are either listening or people that they know.
Yeah, look, as I understand it, heart disease is probably our biggest killer in Australia. And you touched on one of those stats there. Now, sudden cardiac arrest is something that can occur because of heart disease, but it can also be caused by other things as well. So for around 50% of people that have a sudden cardiac arrest, it's the first time they know, like me, that they've got heart disease or a problem that could cause them to drop dead. Now, that's a pretty worrying stat, right? So if you've got many people, as you say, having a death from heart disease, well, 50% of those people are probably having a sudden cardiac arrest without even knowing they've got heart disease. So it's so important that we maintain our health checks, we follow all the doctor's advice and make sure that we stay on top of that. Unfortunately, though, all the screening and all the tests that we do still doesn't pick up every incidence of heart disease that exists in people. So, it's one of those things where we need to be aware on the early stage of the spectrum, but also on the pointy end of the spectrum too. When somebody does drop to the ground and they stop responding, they stop breathing, we need people to be able to enact the chain of survival. And we have more people like me who are able to survive, because just because you have a heart attack and a cardiac arrest doesn't mean that you have to die. And I think a lot of people just accept when they hear that, Uncle Bill had a heart attack and died, they just kind of go, oh, well, that's kind of to be expected.
You've got to die of something.
Yeah, heart attack means death, right?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have to. You can intervene in that, and that chain of survival is the key intervention.
So there's a couple of really important events we're going to just pump up here, right here and now. Next Saturday, 3 p.m, that's the 16th, on Channel 9 nationally, I'm assuming, the world's largest CPR class. I'll be tuning in, I can tell you that for nothing. So if you could get your little romper room sign out and go, oh, I can see Neil, I can see Rob, that'd make us feel really, really special. But then the following week, watch me do a blatant plug for Heart a Day. Heart a Day is an event that I'm organising with co-founder Katrina, and she said to say hello, by the way, that is raising money and raising awareness of heart disease. So there are two really important events, and we are making a massive announcement this morning, Greg, that we've been talking about an internationally acclaimed entertainer being on our guest on Heart a Day, and that person is you.
Wow, internationally acclaimed. Well, that's news to me.
well, we had to talk it up, didn't we? So you'll be having a chat to me on Saturday week as well, so we'll be able to talk about all the same things that we've just talked about today. But it's really important that people know that that's happening. But to go back to your Heart of the Nation activities, and we'll get you to repeat those really important steps. But how does a business get involved in Heart of the Nation? If they've got an AED in their building, how do they get involved?
Yep, they can go to the Heart of the Nation website, which is heartofthenation.com.au, and you can apply to become a member. Membership is free, and we send you out the stickers that you can put on your front door or window of your business so you can let the community know that you've got an AED inside. We had a great story in Tasmania, actually. One of our members had only been a member for a couple of weeks. Somebody came in off the street and said, look, I need to use your AED. Somebody around the corner is having a cardiac arrest. So they took the AED from the store to go and use it. They brought it back. Now, we don't know the outcome of this situation, but the point is this. Without that person knowing the AED was there, that person on the street would have had next to no chance. The fact that the person came in off the street to grab the AED from the Heart of the Nation member means that that person had a chance of survival. Now, we think it was a positive outcome from what we've heard. We don't know for sure, but that's the point of this. There's not always going to be positive outcomes. We know that for a fact, but we know that when there's an AED involved in the resuscitation process, that person then has every chance possible that they can survive. And as I said before, it increases the chance of survival to around 60 to 75%.
Yeah, while we're having unashamed plugs this morning, the Bendigo Community Bank that I work in Winchelsea, Anglesey and Lorne down here on the Surf Coast, we've paid for and installed 27 of those around the region at schools, public places, sporting clubs and the like. And at this stage, we don't know of them having been used, but we do know that the organisational bodies sit with a great deal of comfort knowing that they are there. We've had a lot of training on how to use them, so it's something we're very aware of, and hopefully this will escalate that to other regions as well, because as Neil said, country Victoria and regional Australia quite often don't have access to one of these, so right. Your circumstances are not able to be done. So yeah, let's promote it even more.
Yeah, and look, it is one of those things, as you say, that you would rather have and need than need and not have. So I'm glad to hear that they haven't been used that you know of, but if they ever do need to be used, at least they're there and somebody can access them. So yeah, well done. And all those locations should become members of Heart of the Nation.
Yeah, I was going to say you're going to get 27 emails from Rob this afternoon.
No, I might follow that up, Greg, because that's a very important point that you make, that it can help link that and make it a more powerful thing that we've done. At the moment, we just sit there and say, well, that's good, but it would be good to have your organisation linked to it to improve the exposure.
Absolutely, love to.
And I think the other thing too that I can't remember we spoke about this today or another time. I'm starting to lose track of the conversations I've had with you. But it's also about so someone just dropped to the footpath in front of me, and I see out of the corner of my eye a yellow Heart of the Nation sticker in the window. So I rush inside and get the defibrillator. Help! What do I do now? Are they easy to use?
Yeah, they are dead simple to use. Sorry for the use of the word dead in there.
I've had the Heart of the Nation, heart of the issue a couple of times. That's okay.
Yeah, but look, they are very simple to use. You don't need to be trained to use one or qualified in any way. All you've got to do is either open the device up. They sometimes have a lid on them that you open up and that will activate it or turn it on. Or just find the power button and turn it on, and you'll listen to the voice prompts. It'll tell you exactly what to do, and if you follow the prompts, you'll be safe, and you'll give that patient every chance of being resuscitated.
Greg, just on that, prevention would obviously be a better thing. With the knowledge that you've picked up since your own heart attack, have you learnt things that Greg Page could have done differently to avoid it, or was your circumstances just one of those things that happened?
Look, it kind of was one of those things that just happened, because even if I had have gone for more regular screening or doctor's checkups, they wouldn't have found the problem, because the heart disease that I had at the time was very minor and it wasn't causing me any issues when I was exercising. So I could have done a stress test and passed that the very morning that I did the show. The problem was that when I was doing the show with the Wiggles, the high level of physical activity was causing blood to flow very turbulently around in my heart, and it knocked a little bit of plaque off that clotted. So it wasn't the fact the arteries were narrow that was causing the issue. It was the fact that a bit of plaque broke off. And we see this kind of thing quite often in sports. Either people that are predisposed to cardiac arrest through heart disease or through genetic conditions. It's that increase in physical activity that can often bring on a heart attack or a cardiac arrest related to a genetic condition. So, yeah, it's not one of those things that probably could have been prevented. The only thing that I probably should have done better over the years was eat better. Going back to the years of touring with the Wiggles, the access to food in the US that is healthy wasn't great. And I think, too, I was probably a little bit not misinformed or miseducated, but probably a bit uneducated in the sense that I thought that because I could exercise and do exercise regularly, I felt very fit and healthy, and I thought that negated the fact that I was eating some crappy food every now and then. So I'd have pizza, I'd have bacon, I'd have sausages, I'd have the skin on the chicken, all those kinds of things. Not every day, of course, but probably more often than I should have. But, stupidly, I thought that all the exercise I was doing was counteracting that. But it doesn't counteract it. It's just one of those things that you should do anyway. You should exercise. You should make sure that you eat well. You should do all of those things, tick, 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 to give yourself the best chance of not getting heart disease and ending up on the floor needing to be resuscitated.
And another important aspect we've spoken about with other guests in other formats is the importance of understanding your own family history, because there's so many people that don't. And I think if you look back down the family tree and discover others, you might find things that you need to be aware of, and certainly have them checked out as well. And I think that's something that a lot of people miss out on.
Yeah, correct. Look, in my case, there is no family history. So for me, I didn't tick any of the boxes. I didn't have high cholesterol, didn't have high blood pressure, et cetera, et cetera. But yes, it is very important to be aware of the risk factors. Make sure that you're aware of them. Make sure you know your family history. If there is a family history, make sure you stay well and truly at the top of your health and get checked up and eat properly, do the right things, because once you end up on the floor needing to be resuscitated, at the moment in Australia, your chance of survival is only 10%. That's the stat. So you don't want to be that 9 in 10 that doesn't make it through a cardiac arrest event. You want to make sure that you don't end up being on the floor.
Well, Greg, it is always great to have a chat, and we will certainly be pumping up Heart of the Nation wherever we get the chance. Looking forward to our chat on Heart a Day in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, me too.
Let's just put together a couple more things just before we go to make sure that the people who have been listening have got the key things to talk about. You talked about the chain of survival, the 3 steps in that. Let's just run through those again. Yep,
the 3 steps are call, push, shock. Call 000, push hard and fast on the middle of the patient's chest, and shock them with a defibrillator, or AED.
Now, they say Staying Alive by the Bee Gees is the song to have in the back of your mind when doing the pushing on the chest. Is there a Wiggles song that they should be doing it to instead?
There is, actually. Fruit salad, yummy, yummy is CPR tempo. So if you just think, fruit salad, dum, dum.
Yummy, yummy. There we are. I got to sing with him, see?
Oh.
No one donated, and so I didn't get to sing a song with you today, but that's okay.
I've just donated. You sang. I promised I would, and I will.
Good on you.
So that's the first thing. Second thing, next Saturday, the 16th of, what are we in? October. On Channel 9 nationally, the world's biggest CPR class.
Yep, you betcha. Tune in. You don't have to be trained or qualified in CPR to try and use it to save somebody's life. So get familiar with it by watching this program. There'll be a demonstration of CPR by Surf Life Saving New South Wales. Know a little bit about it. Get familiar with it so that if you ever need to do it, you've got some grounding and some confidence to empower you to try to save somebody's life.
And I can tell you from first-hand experience, Greg, a little bit of knowledge. There's an old saying, a little bit of knowledge is dangerous, but in this particular case, it's invaluable. And I just finished a first aid course when I was involved in an accident with someone else, and the little bit that I remembered and had the calmness to enact may have saved that person's life. So in this particular case, please just arm yourself with a little bit. You don't have to take it all in and be an expert, because that little box, I've had examples of that, and that little box tells you all you need to know, but it's just a matter of being calm and understanding the circumstances, and you could have a very, very big impact on saving someone's life. So please do it.
Absolutely. And it's not just that one person's life that you're saving, it's the flow-on effect. It's family who are not left without a loved one. So it's a massive difference that you can make in the world if you can do the right thing and, you step in there and do what's required.
And the next thing we need to remember is that if you run a business or an organisation or a club or a shop or anything else that's got an AED, an automatic external defibrillator. I did it. See, I got the words out. Normally I stumble over them. If you've got an AED, get in touch with Heart of the Nation at heartofthenation.com.au.
That's it. Yeah.
And
sign up, become a member. It's free, and we'll send you out the stickers. Become part of our network, and we'll help promote you, and we'll promote the fact that these wonderful organisations have an AED available for the community to use to try and save the life of someone in cardiac arrest.
And if you're not a person that runs a business, but you do walk down your local shopping centre, down Packington Street or down Ryrie Street in Geelong or anywhere else where you are listening in, keep an eye out for those yellow stickers. And if you're thinking to yourself, what colour am I? Just think yellow wiggle, Greg. That's a good way to remember what colour the sticker is. It's got the words Heart of the Nation written on it, and it says something like AED installed inside or something, isn't it? Available here or something?
AED inside.
Yep. So that's a really important thing. And the website, heartofthenation.com.au, I noticed a little button on the top right-hand corner of that screen, which will be utilised some stage today or tomorrow by me, which has the words Donate Now. You'd be happy to receive some financial support from the listeners?
Yeah, look, of course we are. I mean, it's not something that we push a lot, but yeah, donations are tax deductible. We're a DGR approved body from the ATO because we are a registered charity. Donations are gratefully accepted. It goes towards the work that we do in terms of the Steer initiative. We've got some other bigger initiatives coming up later this year that we're going to be announcing next week on the special with Channel 9. So yeah, please, any help would be appreciated, but we are very much committed to this process of trying to educate the community and save lives because 10% survival rate is just so low.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to try and do here, Greg, before we let you go. And I'm going to make a complete idiot of myself here. And, please understand that if there's anyone who can do that on radio, it's going to be me. I'm going to try and find a Wiggles song on here. And the deal is that if you and I sing that together, with the Wiggles singing in the background, Rob's going to donate some money to Heart today. So let's do it, eh?
Oh, jolly word I am.
Fantastic.
Okay. I've chosen Hot Potato for no particular reason because it's probably the easiest one to remember. We might even get Rob involved in this as well. Are you ready?
Yep.
Hot potato, hot
Potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, 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 potato,
cold
spaghetti, cold spaghetti, cold spaghetti, cold spaghetti, cold spaghetti, cold spaghetti, 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 spaghetti.
That'll do. You've done well.
He doesn't want any more. He's had enough.
I've had enough. My $50 is coming your way.
There you go. We've done it.
Good on you. That's a lot higher than I remember it.
Yeah, I was going to say Neil was certainly struggling getting up the high ones.
I struggle to sing at the best of times. But hey, we can now say that we've had you singing on our program. You were singing, weren't you? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, that's right.
He was having a crack, don't you worry.
Yeah, excellent. Greg Page, absolutely delighted to have you on the program, and thanks for that. We'll see you on the telly next week. We'll hear you on Heart Today in a couple of weeks, and thanks for joining us on Two Blokes Chatting.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. Nice to talk.
You're a star, Greg. Thank you. All the best.
See you guys.
Cheers, mate. There he is, Greg Page, formerly the Yellow Wiggle, and now the man heading up the heartofthenation.com.au, and we've just made $50 for Heart Today. Well done, Rob. Well done, Greg.